going on, everybody? My name is Steve Hyder with Gay City Sports Channel. The guy over here to my left or right, actually my right on the screen here, this is my guy, Philly Fresh. We are 2/3 or 2/4. So you got half of the Battlebirds podcast here because, well, 3/4 of it. There's you guys, there's me, there's Reese, and there's Mike. Mike's, I think, on the road. I think he's visiting some family. So you got the general and you got Gate today, guys. What's up, everybody? What's going on, Fresh?
Man, yo that, what's going on, man? I mean, you introduced me. I don't gotta introduce myself. I appreciate that. We got one. I mean, when you look at the scenario, you look at the situation. Minshew is going to start, and I'm not going to act like this is going to be a walk in the park for him. It's not, because when I constructively look at the defense of the New Orleans Saints, I'm just talking about the defense here. When you talk about the talent that they have over there, they got some talent, man. When you talk about the Jordans of the world, when you talk about Matthews, they got two really, really solid linebackers over there. And not gonna lie to you, they last 6 games, they have not let an opponent get over 20 points. So that's really something to really, that's really not anything to sneeze at. And then when you put that in consideration, they're also good at stopping the run, especially these last, like I said, 6 games. And I am very, very intrigued to see how they're going to treat this game, because we all know Miles Sanders. Last time we seen him, he basically had his head in his chest because of the fumble. Are you going to get this guy confidence from the rip and make sure that you run the ball and he protects the ball, obviously? Because we say this all the time. Well, people say this and then whatever. That, this team is good at stopping the run and yada, yada, yada. And I think our offensive line takes that to heart. And they put a hurting on people. So not going to lie to you, it might be a hurting put on this defense. We just need Miles Sanders to be the Miles Sanders that he has been the last 15 games. And you just got to forget last game. It's over. It's done with. And I ain't going to lie, man, you have a chance to put those caps on at home, like you said last week. You got a chance to put those caps on at home. You got a chance to get the only bye, the number 1 seed. And then after that, I mean, it's smooth sailing. Not until you get to the playoffs is what I'm saying. You don't really got to worry about the Giants game, even if you want to put Jalen Hurts in so he don't get rusty. I mean, you don't want to have him going, it'll be what, 6 weeks? Mm-hmm. 6 weeks without playing a football game? So, 5 weeks, but you get what I'm saying. Not going to lie. These are things that are concerning, but if you win this game, I don't think we have too much to really be concerned about. Lane Johnson can rest like he is anyway. The rest of the guys, Miles Sanders, he had pulled up with a knee injury. Hope he's good. And a couple other guys, man. But I do got a question for you, Gates, and it's not really particularly to the game. I've seen some things, but I wasn't able to break it down. Are they doing something with Hargrave's contract?
I heard something like that. I heard that they're working on a 3-year deal. I don't know how true that is, guys. Don't come at me. I don't know. I don't work for Howie Roseman, despite what you guys accuse me of. I honestly do not work for that man. But earlier on in the year, you guys know I was pretty bullish on they probably need to figure something out with Javon Hargrave. Some of you guys were like, Steve, man, draft, some things you can do. But I think we see the talent, man. Like there's these spurts that happen with Hargrave to where you just can't block this guy. The dude is just a phenomenal pass rusher, to be honest, an interior pass rusher. I heard a 3-year deal is what they're working on. I want to say he's like 29, 30-ish, so that's about the right length of contract, in my opinion, for that age. Like, that's very Darius Slay territory.
That's what he got before. 3 years, $30 million, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, somewhere in that area. Yeah, man, how long ago does 2020 feel, bro? That feels like forever ago, man.
But to you, are you shocked that this is the first contract that he trying to, you know what I mean? I'm not even talking about Jalen Hurts. I want people to understand in the chat, they can't even talk to Jalen Hurts until March. They can't even, like, I mean, of course they can talk to him. You get what I'm saying, but nothing can be signed or nothing can happen with Jalen Hurts until March. So with that person out of the way, you still got people like C.J. Garner-Johnson. You still got the Bradberries. You still got other guys. Kaiser White, he's on a 1-year deal, right? Kaiser White. You know what I mean? Is it Kaiser White or Hassan Reddick? One of them is on. I think Kaiser White is on a 3-year deal. One of them is on a 3-year deal. I can't remember which one.
Kaiser's on a 1-year deal. They gave Kaiser a 1-year deal. That's so Reese, just to kind of expand upon it, and I'd love to hear you expand upon this. What are your thoughts there with the linebacking core? Because you have TJ Edwards, you have Kaiser White, but then you do have Nakobe Dean under that rookie contract. You got 3 more years in Nakobe Dean here. Does it really, like, in your mind, is it, well, what's the deal look like? Kind of like, if we can keep all 3 guys, we'd be best off by keeping all 3 guys. We'll figure out the rotation later. But
here's the thing.
Where's that cutoff for you?
Here's the thing. So when you look at it, and I said this in my last video because it was actually shocking to me that we still have 2 other linebackers that we drafted just 2 years ago that are kind of waiting in the wing. You got a guy that didn't really play a lot of college or high school football because of his religion, and Taylor. And then you still got Sean Bradley, who I thought was solid until he got hurt. You get what I'm saying? So you got some depth at the linebacker position. I mean, more than we had in a long time. So to me, Howie is going to mix and cheat with a guy Hargraves looking at $55 million. Whoa. I mean, the dude got to, I mean, Hargraves has been a quiet monster. When I say, it's like he's not like an Aaron Donald flashes off the screen but when you look at the end of the day, you like, damn, he had 2 sacks.
Yeah,
he had two and a half sacks. Like, he gets the job done. But like I was saying, I think he's going to mix it in, see if a Taylor or a Bradbury can still play. You still got T.J. Edwards, and then you can. I don't know if Kaiser White makes the cut. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know if he makes the cut because of Nakobe Dean. Like, you got some young kids that can ball. You know what I mean? And I like Kaiser White a lot, and I feel as though he has been solid. But out of everybody that I just named, he is probably the most replaceable.
See, that's the crazy thing, right? Is like, when you look at it. Man, you know, I'm a huge Kaiser White fan. Like, I called him out in the offseason. I was like, yo, I want Kaiser White. I think he's a great fit. With that said, I do agree with the premise of what you're saying, which is, if you're going to replace either TJ Edwards or Kaiser White, it's probably a little easier to replace Kaiser White than TJ Edwards at this point, just because, TJ Edwards getting, he'll call signals for your defense. He'll get everything set up for you. He'll have that green, dot of play calling on him. He plays the mic. He's going to play the majority of the snaps in your system.
And he's cheaper.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing, is like, I don't know the expense right now of Kaiser White or TJ Edwards. I mean, my fear is that both of these guys have played so well, they may have played themselves out of Philly. That's the part that's scary about the situation. I love what Paul did here. Paul broke it down by, like, who are the guys on those 1-year deals that are coming up, or the end of an expiring contract. He's like, it's BG, it's Fletch, it's Javon, it's Ndamukong, it's Linville Joseph, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, Bradbury, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Epps. And the crazy thing is you got to do something at safety. You don't want to be going into free agency, going into the draft, trying to replace both guys. I think that would be terrible mistake.
Especially when all you really got is Kayvon Wallace.
But then I look at a situation like James Bradbury. Man, he's played well this year, Reese. That guy has really played well this year. Like, I knew Bradbury was going to be good, and I was on Bradbury back in 2020. He's outplayed anything that I could have expected. I didn't think he was going to be this level. I thought he was going to be like, oh, this is a clear step up from Steven Nelson. But, like, Darius Slay is still the guy. Like,
right.
Ooh, man, Bradbury that dude is disruptive.
And he gets targeted more because of what Slay does over there and the way he locks down. A lot of quarterbacks don't even throw to his side. I've seen a whole. How do you feel about the young guys behind Bradbury?
Zach McPherson was drafted. I want to say was it 2020, right? They drafted Zach McPherson. Was it 21? 21. I think it was 21.
20. Was it 21?
I think
Yeah.
it was. I think he got drafted the same year that Devontae Smith got drafted. I thought.
Fifth round, right? He got drafted. In
Yeah,
the
fourth, fifth round, somewhere in that area. I think he was actually a fourth rounder. But I mean, like now your second year, you would hope that on a 4-year rookie contract going into your third year, that's the year that you need to start kind of emerging. And I don't know that I don't want to like diss Zach McPherson just because the young man hasn't had a ton of opportunities to honestly to play. Right. But when he's had those opportunities, you can tell that Gannon starts to do things a little differently with the defense. He starts to kind of, you know what I mean? Like he starts to try to shield him a little bit. He tries to, make sure that there's some kind of coverage over the top of him. He plays him a little bit more soft in the coverage. You know what I mean? Things like that. So, I mean, that kind of concerns me when I look at that because it's like, okay, you spent a fourth-round pick on McPherson. Is that guy a starting NFL caliber guy? Is this more of going to be a career third corner guy who could come in and play the slot if you needed him to, like kind of player? Also, the draft. You do have 2 first-round picks. You broke the mold, when you took Devontae Smith just a couple of years ago inside of, top 10 pick where you basically went ahead and you drafted a skill position player. If I had to wager on the Eagles breaking, I'm going to just call it policy, even though it's not really a policy, but breaking the mold of what they normally do from a draft strategy, it's probably going to be at corner in terms of top half of the first round. You get what I'm saying? Like taking a guy that would be, I would love to say it'll be linebacker, probably not going to happen. I would love to say that it would be, a safety, probably not going to happen in the top half of the first round. The only one I see where there could be a curveball here, and tell me if you're like, Steve, it ain't happening, bro, you're crazy, is corner. I could see corner.
I'm not going to lie to you. I do think it probably depends on how he signs. But if you got a chance to get this Anderson kid from Alabama.
Oh, yeah. There's a difference maker.
You go get him. This dude. I watched some tape about 2 nights ago. This dude has been tearing it. He's been tearing the NCAA. Like he's dominant, and the pass rushing it doesn't stop. He has a motor, and let's be real. Love Brandon Graham, but I'm not paying Brandon Graham another 10 million or 15 or 12. Love him to death. I'm wanting to see him retire as an Eagle. Hopefully, we win the Super Bowl and he just hangs up his cleats. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I don't want to see him in another jersey, but I don't see them also paying him again. If you get what I'm saying. Rock, what's going on? That's my guy right there, man. Here, day one.
What's good, Rock? How you doing, bro? Hey, guys, just so y'all know, because we're minus Mike, I did put the link in the description if y'all want to come on and talk, because we're minus 1/3 of what we do here. So if you guys want to come in and talk a little bit during the pregame show, I got it starred on Fresh's comment section, and it's starred on my comment section, guys, is the link. But I'll put it back in again for y'all.
No, I'm going to pin it. All you got to do is pin it. Pin it.
Let's get this win. I hear you, Rock. Absolutely. Ali said, is Edwards a liability in coverage? Dean is a third-round pick. Taylor is washed, and Bradley. I don't know if I'd say Taylor is washed, Ali. I don't know if Taylor ever really arrived. You know what I mean? He's still a really, really young guy. He's a guy that didn't play a ton of high school or college football. I mean, he played in college, but, due to his, religious beliefs, he couldn't play, during games for his high school, basically. So, I mean, he's a guy that had to play a lot of catch-up. I mean, I don't know what to make of him, Ali. I really don't know what to make of him. I thought that there was something there last year, personally, with Davion Taylor, and it must have gone way worse than what we even saw in training camp for him to be initially make the roster, but then cut and then kind of put on the practice squad, and nobody even has even given a look to him. I thought definitely somebody would probably get into a jam in terms of numbers, look at Davion Taylor and say there's talent there. Like, we'll take a shot on him. Nobody has. So that says something, Ali. You know what I'm saying? Is Edwards a liability in coverage? Tricky question, Ali. That's a tricky question because in man against a certain athleticism at tight end or running back picking up a certain level of athleticism out of the backfield in a man coverage assignment, sure. Of course, T.J. Edwards is going to be a little bit of a liability there. In terms of a zone coverage where he's dropping to a spot or matching and carrying, if he's doing a match and carry style of the zone, I think Edwards is a lot better than people realize. I think he's a better coverage linebacker in zone than many think. But I'll be honest with you, Ali. Kyzir White is a far superior man coverage, linebacker compared to TJ Edwards. And I think that in the small sample size I've seen of Nakobe Dean, he moves well. Nakobe Dean has a very good functional space and awareness in terms of his coverage ability.
And not only that, but he got the hips too. Like, he can turn his head around like he do. I mean, we talk about Avonte Maddox and how he can turn and move. It's kind of freakish athletic ability. Nakobe Dean has that same type of thing. So I do think that Nakobe Dean will be better in coverage, but he has a lot learning to do. Right now, it just seems like they're spearheading him and just have him go after the quarterback or the running back, whatever the case may be, and he's getting home. But he does have a lot of learning to do, and hopefully, man, he could be one of them guys for us, man. I really think he could be one of those guys. But this is the funniest thing I've seen all day. I know it's early, but my man said, "Look, said Nick's Flowers produce #1 seeds."
Nick's Flowers. That's funny, bro.
Mike would have got a kick out of that one.
Yeah.
So to the game, Gates, like, are you nervous? Like, how you feel? Because at the end of the day, we are going against even with our starting quarterback out, an insuperior team. But you don't want to look at it like that. I mean, we can, but the Philadelphia Eagles shouldn't, especially as a whole. What's going on, man? What's going on, guys? So when you look at it, you got a situation to where, though, I just brought up the defense and the talent that they have there with Cam Jordan and they still got the Honey Badger. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to try to load the box. That's what Chicago did, trying to get a win there. And that's also what Dallas did. Dallas loaded the box and dared Minshew to throw. Now, Minshew he missed a couple throws. I get it. Everybody missed throws in the game. But to me, you can't try to force feed Quez Watkins. You have too much time and too many guys that can high point the ball, and Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and those kind of guys. It can't be your fourth. Like, Quez Watkins is literally your fourth option. He should be he's your fourth. He's your fourth best player, really fifth when you bring in Miles Sanders, or Kenneth Gainwell. I love Quez Watkins and what he does, but you cannot force feed him over the middle of the field. You being an ex-quarterback and a quarterback coach, tell me where he went wrong with those 2 interceptions.
I'm going to say that the biggest issue I have with Minshew goes back to, if you guys remember, I made a video about Jamie Newman. When I broke down his film at Wake Forest. Jamie Newman is someone that I've met before. I used to coach out in the south side of Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. So I'll say that, like, Jamie Newman had an issue at times where he would tail away from the pocket. Right. And it's just a matter of, like, you lose flow between your 2 guards and your center. And you should never tail too far outside of your center, or else your balance, the way you throw, it's especially on vertical concepts where you're trying to push the ball downfield, it's going to be off if you do that. You're going to miss the mark with the ball a little bit. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. He laid a couple dimes out there. That one that he kind of threw up there for Devontae Smith to come down with. Devontae. That was a pretty ball. That was a pretty ball.
I thought you meant the one that he missed.
Yeah, he tails a little bit. He starts to tail a little bit, and then the ball doesn't come out right. So, I mean, he's got some things that, even as a guy who sees and diagnoses coverage quickly, fundamentally, there's some things about why his deep ball flutters a little bit. There's some reason behind that. In terms of Quez, I'm not going to lie to you, Reese, I was pretty ticked off in the game on the second pick, just because I thought Minshew put a pretty good ball out there. He put it exactly where the ball needs to be. Quez, you got to go break that ball up, bro. You got to go break the ball up. And look, we can get on the coaches, you-know-what. I don't want to get us demonetized, bro, but we can get on there, you-know-what, because I don't think that's the right situation for Quez Watkins.
Can I ask you a question?
You got to know your personnel better. But
can I ask you a question though? The first, and I know it was slow motion. I know the refs they got a big job, yada yada yada. But to me, I thought that first interception was pass interference. He climbed on his back, like literally climbed on his back that first one. And I'm like, I know once they put it in slow, at first I'm like, that looked like pass interference. But once I seen the slow mo, I'm like, damn, like he really was all on his back before the ball even got there. So, but still, like you said, Quez, you gotta fight, man. You gotta fight. You gotta fight for that football because now they're gonna. You have finally been given the opportunity when Dallas Goedert went out to be more spotlight put on you, more targets and this and that. And now that Dallas Goedert is back, you're probably going, especially after that performance, you're probably going to fall back into the fold of really not getting one or two targets. I got Quez Watkins probably getting one or two targets. I think Dallas Goedert goes off today, man. And that's who I think needed to be featured more. I understand he's just coming off an injury, yada, yada, yada. He's still Dallas Goedert. You have to target him. You have to target him more. I think he only had 3 targets.
He's a difference maker, man. He just is. Dallas Goedert is. I mean, you could see immediately when he came back in the game last week, they're like, oh man, like this dude's like, there was a concept I broke down in my video from yesterday to where they ran max protection out of 13-man personnel and they play actioned Dallas. There's just no way of defending that with Dallas Goedert on the field. Like, there's just no way, because even if you identify it's coming and you start dropping back 6-7 guys in the coverage, right? Sneaking up on the line, making it look like you're going to filter down to stop the run and then dropping. Well, it's only a matter of time before they catch you inside 13 personnel like that and they actually don't play action. They just run you over. Like, I mean, I got to be honest, man, that team, like that was a real, like looking at the concept and what Steichen was trying to do there, I was like, oh, we should be doing more of this and we should be doing more of the, without Jalen Hurts in there, we need to give more eye candy pre-snap. There needs to be more motion, more shifting. There needs to be post-snap. There needs to be some wrinkles, some design things that kind of get defenses a little off guard. There was one play that I broke down on the film to where Miles, he reads the defensive end. The defensive end crashes down, right? Because they're just not respecting Minshew. So the defensive end crashes down. The safety comes over top, crashes down into the hole. Miles sees everything, jump cuts, gets outside, and gets like 7 yards, man. Great play by Miles. That's a great individual play by Miles Sanders. But the coaching staff could help him out and do some things like counters to help facilitate that through play calling, through play design, run counters, do some things. You remember last year when they used to do that formation where they would take the dual wings and it would cross those wings and kick them outside? Do that.
Yeah.
Let that defensive end crash around and then have a lead block out there.
To be fair though, Gates, I did see some creativity. I love the fourth down touchdown. I love how, we're seeing more wrinkles on that 4th and 1 and 4th and inches. You know what I mean? Like the last game Jalen Hurts played, we talked about this last week when he basically Jurgens was under center. Then he switched the whole line. And then Kelsey was under center. And he wound up not going up. He went around. And that was a wrinkle. And then a wrinkle to the pass to Devontae Smith. It was just basically, I get like a trick play. You know what I mean? Like everybody is loaded up in the box. You had Devontae Smith leak out. And it was a wonderful play. I'm not gonna lie to you. And because of Dallas' aggressiveness on a defensive end, they didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a great play call. We are seeing some things. To me, I don't have any problem. I didn't have any problem with the game plan. It was the turnovers. The players lost this game, and so did 3rd and 30. 3rd and 30 killed us, man. You cannot what's going on, Dave? You cannot let that happen. That cannot happen, Gates. Especially when you see that T.Y. Hilton's out there. Now, what I can say is, hey, Darius Slade, I need to know the VIN number, the license plate to that bus that you put whatchamacallit under. What's the kid name? I don't know if you've seen his tweets, Darius Slay, but he was basically blaming what's the kid name that we like, man, the safety. A Blankenship.
Oh, okay.
He basically
I know Josiah Scott got caught out of position on one of them.
Yeah, Josiah Scott. Yeah, Scott. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't do that. You can't do that. It was a bad play.
You gotta keep it quiet inside the locker room.
But I get it. A lot of people were saying that he got burned, and this ain't Darius Slay. Darius Slay ain't do this, ain't do that. And I mean, it's true. Darius Slay has not had a pick since week 6. I get it, I understand it, but also they don't throw to him that much unless it's a zone. And to me, I don't know how you feel, Coach, but I would not have played zone on 3rd and 30 because everybody man up and you make a freaking tackle. You don't let them get behind you, number one. Even if you do play zone, it got to be a cover 3. I don't know what that defense was. How is Josiah Scott not?
I got to look at the play again, Reese. To be honest, I mean, from the TV copy, I haven't looked at it underneath the all-22 yet. From the TV copy, it looked like a quarters concept, and it looked like Josiah Scott got caught not carrying his guy down inside of that quarters concept. Now, in terms of 3rd and 30, I think you can have the best worlds in that scenario to where you run a zone concept, but you can still run zone blitzes too.
Right.
Maybe speed up the progression. You know that basically what you want is you want Dak to get the ball in his hands quickly, and then you want to rally and make the tackle. You want to rally and make the tackle.
He had enough time to make a sandwich, take a bite out of it, say, no, I don't want this for dinner, and call his girl and say, baby, I just ate a sandwich and I don't like it. Can you make lasagna? And then threw the damn ball. Like, I'm like, how he got this much time? Like,
I think there's been some pushback recently from dudes about the whole concept about blitzing. You know, we heard Malcolm Jenkins say that any defensive coordinator worth his weight isn't going to run a ton of blitzes. I tend to disagree to an extent there, but I get the gist of what he's saying, which is if you go look at like heavy blitz teams, they generally speaking are not very good football teams. I mean, there's some outliers, of course.
I don't need heavy blitz. Yeah. I need on 3rd and 30.
Situationally, yeah.
I need that. I need that ball out of his hands fast.
Mm-hmm.
Or just throw it in the dirt. You got it. I ain't saying bring the house, but you got to bring more than 4.
Yeah,
more than 4.
Yeah,
come on, man.
So Brennan, when Robert Quinn is on his game, dude's a heck of a pass rusher. I think the issue with Robert Quinn as he comes back for the playoffs is you have to fall into a rotation with a guy like Brandon Graham, who's basically 1 sack away from getting double digits for the first time in his career. You know, Josh Sweat is having a career year. Hassan Riddick is he's just a beast. Like, it's going to be difficult to get into that rotation. Like, I definitely think that he would take.
I really forgot about Robert Quinn.
Yeah. But he's talented. I mean, there's talent with Robert Quinn, but he's older. He clearly had an injury when he got here. He clearly wasn't 100% right. So, I mean, I don't know, Brennan. I mean.
I really forgot all about. That's how many. Like you said, like it's going to be hard for getting a rotation. That's how many pass rushers that we had. I mean, you can just send waves and waves and waves at dudes. That's why I kind of understand what Jonathan Gannon is doing. He's saying my guys should be fresh on 3rd and 30. They should get home. I get that. But you don't take that chance. It's 3rd and 30. I think we actually was up at that point. We might have been up. You got to go after it. You got to go after it. If he burns you, then he burns you, but he burnt you anyway.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man.
I got a chance to see Tyree Wilson play this year. He played NC State. I can't judge one game and levy that against the entirety of a season. I really need to go back and watch a couple of years of his film because he's a transfer, by the way. He transferred into Texas Tech. From that one game, that young man had very good hand placement. That dude was a lot better than I thought he was going to be. Like, we ultimately ended up winning that game quite easily. NC State did, but I'm going to be real with you. Tyree Wilson kind of dominated our offensive line. Like,
I got watched.
He caught my attention. He caught my attention. The dude's a good player. I think he's going to be. You remember the young man out of Florida State, as we got into the draft season and how his name went to the Jets, how his name started exploding all of a sudden, that's going to be Tyree Wilson this year. I think once this guy tests at the combine and people start seeing him playing the Senior Bowl and stuff see him playing the Senior Bowl, see him go through those practices, and then they see the combine measurements and everything come in, Paul, I think he's going to be that dude that's going to – his name's going to be all over the place.
Texas Tech don't get a lot of TV time. So
no, they don't. They really don't. You're right.
Yeah, so I can see that happening. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, but I have to look at more film, Paul, to be honest. But the game I saw him play against NC State, as an NC State fan, it was quite frustrating because we had no answer for him.
I gotta look at some tape on this kid.
Miles Murphy, another young man I've gotten a chance to watch play a little bit out of Clemson. Yeah, another one, good, decent length guy, high effort guy, good hand placement guy. I'm curious how Murphy tests and how Murphy plays inside of like the Senior Bowl and things like that, Paul. I think is Murphy a senior? I think he is. Paul, check on this because I don't have everything in front of me. I could be – I'm pretty confident that Tyree Wilson is a senior. I'm not as confident about Miles Murphy, but I think he is. The young man, like the only thing that scares me about him is like I want to see the testing. I want to see the testing behind Miles Murphy. And you know me, Paul, I don't care about 40 numbers. I think that crap's overrated. But I do care about the 10 split when I'm talking about a defensive lineman as an edge player. So I want to see what he can do in terms of that 10 split. Good player though, man. He's, I'm not going to say too much about him because I don't like Clemson, but he was a good player, bro. Watch Dean's highlight reel from the season. He will be ready next season. I think they've been letting him ease in due to his body issues, the medical claims and stuff on it. I think it's a little bit of everything, Mark. I think partially, he came in with some injuries to Philly. We know that, took him a little while to get adjusted in camp because of that. I also think it's, you got to learn the defense. And I think that was a part of it too. I think if you don't have really quality linebackers in front of someone like Nakobe Dean's on the field a lot sooner than he got on the field. Like you got no choice but to put him in play, Willie said the Eagles are scared of the 49ers.
Yeah, I've been saying that. Why?
Yeah. If you say so. I'm not, personally.
Wow. Wow.
What's up, man? How you doing, bro? Paul said Quinn is washed and disengaged and no given that he's even on the active player roster unless he starts showing things in practice, which he hasn't been able to do.
Yeah, he can find himself on a practice squad.
After we traded a fourth round, they better figure something out.
I don't know the condition of Milton Williams, so I think he did come back. He came back after the injury, right?
I think that he was medically cleared this week. I thought.
Okay.
I thought. to be honest, I don't know, but I thought he got medically cleared. I definitely thought he got medically cleared.
Well, who are you going to sit for him?
He said, "What are you smoking? Ain't nobody scared of them."
I don't know. I don't get it. Like, why would we have to be scared of anything? First of all, you got to come to our house. That's number one.
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and diss the 49ers because I don't even know. I'm not
dissing them, but I'm not.
Yeah, they got a good defense. They got playmakers on offense, but they got Brock Purdy at quarterback. I'll take that matchup.
That's what I'm saying. I think that we have a lot of talent on defense, just like they do. Mm-hmm. They're really solid on defense. I'm not gonna lie to you, but when you look at stats and you look at takeaways and all that kind of stuff, and then we also got to bring up the offensive side of things. You got to bring up the offensive side of things.
Yeah.
To me, you're gonna have a way better quarterback. You're gonna be in a situation to where as though it don't stack up. It just to me, I know they got Debo, I know they got Kittle and McCaffrey. I get it, but everybody that you can throw at us, we can throw back at you. Our tight end is better. Our wide receiver is better. Our number one wide receiver is better. And our quarterback is better. So it's going to come down. It's going to come down to talent at the end of the day to me, and whoever holds on to the football. And If I mean, this is even an if they got to make it past who they got to play. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's to me, I feel pretty confident with where this team is right now. Like, I definitely think they need to pay attention to the narrative. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy to me. I mean, I'm gonna look at this next comment and just say I don't really know, bro. Like, we won 2 of the last 3. Are you counting the second game of Nick Sirianni's tenure as a coach and like Jalen Hurts' like 5th or 6th career start? Like, good luck if you think that's a good illustration of what you're going to be playing in the postseason, my guy. But just so you know, we have won 2 of the last 3. Paul said, when Minshew is set and decisive, he's fine. When he rolls out, his balls flutter as he doesn't have the natural strong passing arm. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, Paul. I think you can improve. I think you can improve your accuracy and the strength of your arm by how you set your feet correctly. But he's never going to be. He's not ripping it 70 yards down the field. He doesn't have that kind of arm. It's not his strength. I will say that like the way that if you watch it, the way he tails underneath center when he's drifting back like that. And by the way, Jalen did that a little bit last year too, and he seemed to really correct that over the summer. I mean, Jalen definitely attacked that, and that dude has just been phenomenal throwing the ball downfield. You see Minshew, and it's like, man, like he's got a lot of work to do in terms of that. Like he throws a very catchable football, he does, but sometimes the ball placement's not quite right with him, and it definitely flutters and dies. Drew, what's good, my guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a reason that he's a backup, but I do think he's, one of the best backups. Obviously, this is what, the Philadelphia Eagles do. They make sure that they have a strong backup. But your backup always is going to have flaws, and flaws that you can see. One of the reasons is why he lost his job playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars because he has these flaws. But to me, I'm confident that this is also a guy because we talk about his decision making. I thought his decision making always was better. I don't know what he was thinking last game. Somebody that even had the handoff. I don't know who to blame that on. But he had 3 turnovers he was actually in on. If you get what I'm saying, the handoff, the 2 interceptions, and he just doesn't do that. You know what I mean? He really protects the ball. When you look at his career stats, his touchdown interception ratio, it just went up now because you threw 2 picks. But anyway, so when you look at the situation, I don't know what he was thinking, but I do think he's solid enough, and this is why you get a backup like him to win the game today. I think he's solid enough to win the game today with everything around him. Now, the defense, obviously, they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to find a way to limit this new thing that they got going on with Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara. Like they got these guys lining up in the Wildcat. They got them basically playing the handoff game like Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. And this is something that can wreck your defense. You know what I mean? Like they found something that's kind of been there the whole time, but they found something and it's kind of been working. You know what I mean? Because they're learning how to milk the clock or whatever the case may be. And let's not act like we didn't just fleece them again. I don't know how the hell we keep doing it. And they might feel some type of way, so they might come with some animosity. But
let me get your opinion on something that they're talking about in the chat. So Paul, shout my guy Show Enough, shout my guy Backyards Birds podcast. So our community here has been having a discussion. They're talking about playing the slot position. And Paul, comes up with the idea. He says, look, with the ball in his hands, play Zach Pascal's wide receiver 3 instead of Quiz. Basically talking about playing him inside the slot. Show Enough talks about It's not about playing Pascal at wide receiver 3 or Quez. It's about how you use your players. Don't throw to Quez up the middle unless it's a go route. And then, Backyard's podcast talking about, I agree, Pascal would be a better option than Quez. So I definitely think that not to discredit anybody, I think that is a solution. You could play Quez, who's more of a Quez, Greg Ward Jr. Those guys are more of those quick, intermediate, and quick to intermediate route level slot runners. They're very good at creating functional space in those routes. They just, they're not going to really outstem you deep. That's not going to happen. They're not going to put you in the trail position in that sense, unless there's a blown coverage per se. I do agree with what Shonuff was saying, though, which is some of this has to be discussed in the fact that there are times that we're not putting guys in the best position possible. Some of this is about development, no doubt about it. I'm not gonna push back too hard. Some of this is about development. Quez didn't play much of 2020 because he didn't know the offense well enough. And then when he got in the game, if you guys remember, I broke down the route concepts that they were allowing Quez Watkins to run, and they were very, very elementary. Things you see in high school and in smaller level college programs, Ohio routes, dagger routes, very, very easy concepts to navigate as a player. But he was very effective because the dude is explosive. I don't know, Reese, what would you do here? I have an alternative solution. Okay. Allow Quez at times to play outside as the Z, just like you had to do with Deshaun Jackson early on in his career. Deshaun became a better route runner over time. Mm-hmm. Play him as a Z, and then allow, and I'm saying not down for down, it's not an every down situation, but allow a little bit more repetition, a little bit more play time for Devontae Smith out of the slot, because Devontae has wiggle. Devontae is a very skilled route runner. And I know while Devontae is not the biggest dude, and you've got to be careful, you can get him blown up. He's smart about getting down. He knows when to get down in that route, not take those hits. Then I think you can mix in Zach Pascal. There's going to be some scenarios and situations you don't want Devontae in the slot. I agree. Then you can mix it in a little bit more. I think they have to have a better understanding between playing A.J. Brown, playing Devontae Smith, playing Zach Pascal, and playing Quez in the slot. I think you have to they got to get a little bit better in terms of the way they're designing these plays and who you're counting on the role to be. How do you feel about the situation with the slot? Because it's starting to get a little icky in the slot right now.
I always thought Pascal needed more plays. I think Pascal is a talented route runner. Third downs, I would use more Pascal than a Quez Watkins, just because of the shiftiness that Pascal, even though he's an older guy, he knows how to get open. Veteran guy. He's a veteran guy, knows how to get open, and he's a little bit more shiftier. I always talked about Quez Watkins. You know this, Gates. I told you that Quez Watkins was going to be better than Rhaegar, and we had the debate about him and Hightower. Remember, you was a Hightower guy, and I was the Quez Watkins guy. But I always told you Hightower runs better routes. He has more of a route tree, should I say. But I just thought that Quez Watkins, the little bit of routes that he knew how to run, he was better at doing, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But his route tree has not expanded yet, and that's kind of disappointing to me. They're not crisp as you would like them to be. And I guess he just feels as though he can double down with that with his speed. But it's not like that in the NFL. Like, if you can't get open, it don't matter how fast you are. If you can't get open.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, man, like you said, even on that second interception, he didn't get high enough in his route before he turned to me. Now, it could have been a lower pass, I guess. I don't know. But his footwork has to get better.
Yeah.
And
like Minshew put it on the outside hand. Don't get me wrong. It was a tremendous play by the defender. The defender made a heck of a play on the football, but it's like, Quez, you got to go break that thing up, man. Like, what are you doing? You got to fight through that, man. You cannot turn the ball over there. Get that ball to the ground.
Yeah. So his footwork is not as good as you would like it to be, but you do have a guy on the roster who has some good footwork. And so third downs, especially like 3rd and 4s, and I just need him to run a hitch route or a little cross route. I'm gonna go with Zach Pascal, man.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, Zach Pascal was the better blocker.
Yeah.
So yeah, a way better blocker. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping him on 3rd down.
My guy Mark G came in with the $1.99 super chat and said, "Dynamic duo, great cast today." Hey, we appreciate you, Mark. Thanks, buddy. And then my guy Transistor Zen came in with the $5 super chat with a crazy, difficult to explain question. Appreciate that, Transistor. What's up, my dudes? Gates, what do you see on the 2 interceptions versus the Bears? Unlike Hurts' other picks this season, those look pretty ugly. I felt like there was an element to them pushing it. They were trying to push the game. I think that they knew they were in a dogfight with the Bears. I think that they were willing to take a little bit more chance in that game, and I think they forced some balls, to be quite honest. That's a kind of a game, man, Transistor, where you run the film on it. You let Jalen Hurts realize that time and place to push the football, but ultimately I think you just scrap it. You throw it away. You acknowledge it's there. You acknowledge what you did, but this has not been something that's been like an Achilles heel for this team. So I think the learning moment there is like, okay, when we were getting frustrated with teams because this is a team we know we're better than and are just hanging around with us, we need to be better in our game plan. I felt like the Bears had a much better game plan in that game than we did, if I'm being honest. And you guys, I'm not taking shots at Nick Sirianni. I'm not taking shots at Shane Steichen or any of those guys. I'm fans. I really think we got a great coaching staff. But I definitely felt like we got outcoached in that game, and it was only based upon our talent that we won. But hey, to be fair, Matt Eberflus, you knew was going to come into this game and know what we were doing quite well. Nick Sirianni, Colts. Jonathan Gannon, Colts. He knew. Eberflus kind of had, I think, a beat on us. He knew what we were going to be doing. He probably had plenty of film to look over. He knows the personalities. He knows what these guys like to do conceptually, because obviously Gannon worked underneath Eberflus directly. And then, of course, Eberflus and Sirianni were co-coordinators together for the Colts. Sirianni being the offensive coordinator and then Eberflus being the defensive coordinator. So I think we had to take that into consideration as well. But yeah, Transistor, I think that they were trying to push it. I think there was some frustration setting in and they were trying to really push it to get that game, back to where they felt like they were comfortable again. Guys, I'm going to try to get through some of these chats, guys. Real quick, you can play man on 3rd and 30. Usually defensive corners go to prevent the big pass. And with that, there's a lot of help in the secondary, more likely to get burned in zone at that distance. Yeah, you can go man. I probably still wouldn't go man, sure enough, but I also wouldn't sit back there and allow Dak Prescott to make a sandwich, as Reese was saying. I would bring the heat. I would bring a zone blitz concept on that. I wouldn't just let him sit back there. My goal, my objective in that situation would be to try to make him throw the ball short because he's got pressure in his face and then rally to the tackle on 3rd and 30. Sure enough, I highly doubt that play would be replicated again. I think that was a once in a generation type play. I highly doubt we replicate that gets replicated against us again this season. I think that was definitely a lot of, luck involved there. Paul said, I really believe that Slade did not believe that Prescott could toss it 55, 60 yards in the air over his head, and he slowed up, and it cost him. Yeah, I understood what he was saying, though, Paul, because he was correct. He was correct that Josiah Scott did not carry the way he was supposed to carry. He wasn't in his correct zone. But I also think you're right, Paul, that I think there was a bit of surprise to Slay that, like, oh, he's actually going for it this at this depth and this distance. No excuse. That play shouldn't happen. It should not happen against a veteran secondary. But once Avonte Maddox went down, Paul, I had that feeling in my stomach, man, like, crap, man. Like, Josiah Scott's not a bad player. I think he's getting beat up over some things where he's a role player. But I knew when Maddox went down, like, man, our secondary is not going to be the same. Blue City, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? He said New York Football Giants only need one win to get into the playoffs. The 2022 Eagles only need one win to get to the first bye, and Washington needs to win all out to get into the playoffs for 2022. basically, Blue City, you're hoping we win this game and there's not a necessity to win next week. Is that what you're basically saying? Said, agree with you. Man-to-man, not smart with third and long. Well, I mean, you could do – there's different concepts, though, Paul and Mark. I mean, you could do things – you remember the old Giants coordinator? I was a big fan of, what was his name? Patrick Graham or whatever, the Giants defensive coordinator from the last couple of years. He used to play a concept where he played cover 2 man under. So you play the man under to hold up. If you can get a pass rush going, you got man coverage underneath to kind of hold your receivers up, and you got over top coverage. You got 2 safeties over the top. You can do concepts like that. Generally speaking, you'll see that referred to as cover 5 or cover 2 man under. Sorry, guys, I don't give expanded upon explanations that are kind of crazy for a pregame show, but I also know that Paul and a few of you guys have coached and played at a certain level, so I know you guys understand what I'm saying. Eagles offense has to prove up 10. Yeah, that's the crazy part, right? We were up 10 a couple of times. You can't let these games – that's what I was saying. I feel like if Jalen Hurts is in the game, you can go on a 13 to 15 play drive that eats up 7-8 minutes of clock, and this game is out of – they're going up 17. Now it's a completely different football game. I felt like we were missing that in that game, and it came back to bite us in the rear. Reese, he pops down as soon as I said his name. Yeah, Reese. What are your thoughts on that? About Minshew didn't play bad, the offense didn't play bad, but it couldn't ice the game. Do you think that if Jalen Hurts is in there, we go on that long sustaining drive, put points up, and the game's over? Do you think that that's probably a far more likely outcome last week?
I don't even think it comes to that if Jalen Hurts played. I mean, when you look at the one touchdown, well, that didn't happen to be a touchdown. I think it was it the first or second drive? Yeah, their first drive. I mean, we already up 7-0. No, it was the second drive. It was after the pick six. And Gardner Minshew tried to scramble, and he really couldn't get nowhere. If that's Jalen Hurts in that position, I think he scores. So, I mean, we would have had a chance to be up. We kicked a field goal there. But to me, we would have had a chance to be up after 3 possessions, 21-7, and it was only 10-7. So that's a big swing. I don't think it comes down to that. But I also don't think it comes down to that if Avonte Maddox played the whole game. When you look at it, and I don't know what Jonathan Gannon has been doing or why it got to be like this, but when you look at the fact of the matter that when Avonte Maddox is out of the game, he plays a totally different defense. It's not aggressive enough. You see how much, and to me, you got C.J. Gardner back, so C.J. Gardner can do a lot of things that Avonte Maddox can. You know what I mean? And he's going against his old team. So I think Gannon is, I don't know, I don't want to say scared, but it's just different. You see how he was sending Avonte Maddox on blitzes, got that hell of a sack. I mean, Avonte Maddox was all over the field before he got hurt. He was all over the field. So to me, if Avonte Maddox doesn't get hurt, I think we talking about a whole different game also.
Yeah. Gordon, I agree with you. I agree with your comment, Gordon. I don't know why they don't do it. I don't. I mean, I know they like Josiah Scott, and I don't think Josiah Scott is as bad as he looked last week personally. But I've been calling Josiah Scott out all year for the fact that if he's playing in the short zone, he's very effective. He's really good. But when you got to put that young man in a situation where he needs to match and carry down the field, despite the fact that he's fairly athletic gifted, he's not Avonte Maddox, but he's athletically gifted. Dude, he's in the trail position a lot. I don't know why they don't give McPherson a run inside. I don't know. I mean, maybe that the duration of time he's been here, Gordon, it's been mostly playing outside and they just don't feel comfortable with him in the role. I'm not sure, but I don't know. Because I feel like Job should be healthy. I think Paul made a comment earlier that Josh Job's hamstring has to be the longest hamstring injury in NFL history. But I think Job could do the job outside if it was really necessary. I don't know, Gordon. It's a fair question. I don't have the answer. Brandon said the biggest weakness for Philly by far is Gannon. Philly's pass defense fell apart last week after Maddox went out. Philly should be able to stop the run with the Saints' limited passing game. Let's see.
I mean, I'm not gonna say the biggest weakness. For real. Our biggest weakness, and it just started stepping up. We got to be fair here. I mean, Gannon had a bad game, but he also had some good ones. He's been holding a lot of these running backs to under 30 rushes, and we're talking about top running backs: Derrick Henry's, who else was it? I mean, Jonathan Taylor's, those kind of guys. So we got to understand that. And if we want to talk about the weakest link, it's getting fixed. But the weakest link has been special teams all year, and it's not even a debate or discussion about it. They've been sorry. Now, whenever they picked this guy Ellis up, and he just signed him to the active roster, I like it. It seemed like he turned everything around, and also with Boston Scott returning kicks now, I like it. And even Covey, whatever his name is,
Britton Covey.
yeah. He's been turning up a little bit too. So special teams stinks. Did stink, but now I do think that that they're getting back. But we got the game coming on in 10 minutes. Gates, what you want to do?
Let's do some score predictions, but let me get through a couple comments. We'll do some score predictions real quick. All right, Terrell, look, man, I'm not going to hold you. He might be 3-0 versus Eagles. All I'm going to say is every record is meant to be broken. That's how I'm looking at it. My guy Shakir, what's up, buddy? He said, what's good, brother? Do we got this game today or what? I think we do, Shakir. I think this is going to be a 10-plus Eagles victory at the end of the day, but I do think that the Saints are going to put a fight up. I do. I think that they're in the hunt trying to – they don't have a pick. We own their pick. So, for them, they're trying to make that playoff push. You know what I mean? So I definitely expect them to give us a fight today, but I also expect the Eagles to win by 10 points. They should be able to put this game away. Gannon isn't a weakness. Paul said Quez is not a contested catch type of receiver, so having him running routes in between the numbers where there is more traffic, his cuts off the top of the routes are poor. He's good on go routes. I think, Paul, nuance to this. I get what you're saying. Like when you're dealing with traffic, he's not as strong. He doesn't have the strongest hands. But I will say when you're dealing with vertical concepts, Quez does have a knack for coming down with the football, to be fair. But I agree with you saying he's not – there's a lot of development that still needs to take place, Paul. I agree with what you're saying. Quez doesn't fit in the offense. His best ability is going deep. Philly doesn't throw down the field that much. Eagles will be better with a slot receiver who can get a third down as a possession receiver. 2 times said he's got soft hands. Let me keep going here. My guy Shonuff said he likes Pascal in the slot over Quez. Says, I agree, Gates. Move Quez outside sometimes. Let Smith move around, play some slot. Yeah, move all the guys around, right? That's what I would do personally. I'm expecting the Eagles win today 26-20 in a closer game than many think. It's do or die for the Saints today. Good point. It is. Transistor said, I agree with you. It's not a cakewalk. Pascal over Quez in the slot, but Quez for go routes. Got the Eagles winning 21-17. Hey, man, as long as it's a victory at the end of the day, Shakur, I don't care what the score is. 21-20, as long as we get the W, man. As long as we get the W, we clinch the NFC East, seal up home field advantage, and we can rest our guys. I'm good with it. I think that's the larger thing that has to happen this week, guys. Quez doesn't know how to shield defenders from the ball as he's not strong enough and defenders run right through him. Yeah, it's a fair point, Paul. Quez in year 3, same wide receiver coach, not much improvement from him. He's got some things to tie up, Paul. There's no doubt about it. But I will say, though, to be fair, Paul, he had a long way to go from the start. You know what I mean? Like, Quez has always had a lot of athletic ability. But, I mean, he played at a program that didn't run a lot of NFL, route combinations and things like that. So he always had, like, a far jump to go. I think he understands the route concepts a lot better now, Paul, but I don't know that his technique is the greatest in the world. I still think he's got some things he's got to work with in terms of the footwork and learning how to position one's body, especially as you're stating when there's traffic. Quez or Pascal isn't the answer. With Johnson likely out for a while, Philly would be better off going to a two tight end than playing Watkins to help Driscoll. On the same token, with the way Smitty and A.J. Brown have been playing, isn't there an element of risk we take to have the explosive offense that we've shown on the field? Yeah. I mean, obviously superhero, of course. Paul said, watch out for the Saints linebacker blitzes. Slade was surprised by Hilton's speed. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get as many of you guys in as I can before we jump off of here. 2020 said 76 in here, only 35 likes. Hit that like button. Fly Eagles, fly. My guy Paul says Saints have gone with a more run-centric offense. Yeah. They've gone to a old-school jumbo-style running game to where they'll bring in extra offensive linemen the whole 9 yards. They'll play a lot of 12 personnel. So, yeah, we got to expect them to try to really come at us today. They're going to try to limit Andy Dalton. There's no doubt about it. Marcus Kane said, just can't turn the ball over. It's true. Eagles had the momentum. Yeah, let it slip right from their hands, man. My guy Chris said, happy birthday, Darius Slade. CJ back. I didn't know that they activated him. I haven't really followed it, though, so I'm not going to say anyone's wrong or right on that one. I don't know, man. I didn't really watch it. I agree with Paul. I think the Eagles have to prove they can run it without Hurts. It's fair. What's up with Josh Jobe? He had some hamstring injuries early on. You know how hamstrings can be kind of lingering. He has gotten in a few games, though. So hopefully they do some things, maybe allow Zach McPherson to maybe play inside a little bit. Well, Josh Jobe to kind of be that third rotational guy on the outside. We'll see. I mean, Amber said, we played McPherson in the slot once Scott kept getting burnt or beat repeatedly, and he played pretty well. And preferably run it without fumbling. Did Watkins get benched after the second interception? I noticed Pascal was on late instead of Watkins. I don't know if Nick ever addressed that. I don't know if he got benched or not. It's hard to say, but, I mean, obviously something happened there. You okay, Fresh?
Yeah, I got to try to set things up for the game. I don't know if something wrong with my TV, man.
Let me get this last comment in here. We will win this game, guys. Trust and believe. All right, Reese, real quick before we jump off of here. For the 78, still hanging in here, man. Like within 10 minutes of game time. Appreciate y'all. Real quick, offensive, defensive, score prediction. You want to go first, Reese? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. Offense, I'm gonna have to go Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders needs a bounce back, and I understand that this is personnel that can really stop the run, but we also have a personnel. We are missing, one of our top guys, Lane Johnson, but you can still run on the left side to me, and you can still run up the middle with Kelsey being able to do what he does to get at the second level. I got Miles Sanders offense. Defense, I'm going to have to go with Darius Slade, another guy that I think he gets to pick today, and he kind of shuts everybody up, man. Not really shuts them up, but to me, it's just been kind of rocky looking for him. I mean, if you know defenses, then you understand what's going on, and him being put in zone is not really the best for him. And trusting the other guys can sometimes make it look like you get burnt. So, and then I'm going, my score prediction is going to be, I say we put up 27 points to 14.
Okay. All right, offensive. You know what? I'm going to go with bounce back games. I like how you went with Miles Sanders. Boy, it was ugly for Quez Watkins last week. Quez, I'm trying to win this thing, Quez. I need you to do something today. Let's not cause interceptions, my guy. Let's get that bounce back game. All right, defensive. Josiah Scott. I just got a funny feeling the coaching staff is going to stick to what they know, and Josiah Scott's going to be that nickel corner. I have that funny feeling. Josiah, my guy, you've got to match in carry with your dude. Let's not lose sight of what our coverage responsibility is inside of quarters coverage and things like that, so we don't get 3rd and 30s completed over top of Darius Slay's head. Let's shore those things up, my dude. Score prediction. I agree with what Paul said. Paul said that he expects the Saints to pull out all the stops today. I think they're going to give us everything they got. And I still think it's going to result in them losing this game. I'm going to say 31-20 Philly. I do think it'll be closer than what we would like. I do think the Saints are going to probably score more points than what we would like. So right. I'm going to say 31-20 because I agree with you, Fresh. I would like to see that score be held under 20 points, but I'm just going to say let's be conservative with it, say 31-20. And then, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it rocks out, man. Paul said he's got Goddard and Smith, defense, Hargrave, Sue, and Bradbury. He thinks they're going to be the guys that pop off today. He thinks Elliott's going to have a big game as well.
I can see that.
Yeah. We remember, guys, the rules of our things. We cannot pick Jalen Hurts, and I got a feeling the guys would they would come for me if I picked Jake Elliott. They would say, no, it's offense and defense, not special teams.
Right. Even though Jake Elliott does put up points, though.
Yeah. All right, man. We appreciate y'all so much for hanging in over an hour live stream. The game is like a couple of minutes away. I still got to get set up, so I got to really get up off here and go get to the living room and get set up. Hey, Reese, I appreciate y'all, man. If we clinch, I'm going to find a way of carving out my schedule to do post game because it's time to celebrate if we clinch.
Yes, sir. Just let me know. Y'all. You already know. I'll be tune in halftime. I will be going live halftime. All right, y'all. You already know. Stay fully, stay fresh, y'all.
Hey, man, we appreciate y'all so much, guys. Hey, don't forget to hit that like button on the way out if you haven't yet, guys. Appreciate y'all. Fly Eagles fly, by the way.
You already know.